Hey, everybody. As you know, abortion has become a notoriously divisive issue in America. And many of my critics have painted me as some kind of extremist, but actually, I support the emerging consensus in this country. It's that abortion should be legal up until a certain number of weeks and restricted thereafter. I say this is a consensus because even in the reddest of red states, voters have consistently rejected total abortion bans. And on the other hand, almost no one supports the gruesome late-term abortions except to save the life of the mother. I've been a medical freedom advocate for my entire career, and I fought as hard as anybody in our country for bodily autonomy. I trust a woman's maternal instincts. I used to think that the only time a woman would abort in the third trimester is if the mother's life was at stake, or maybe the baby had some fatal condition. Perhaps it would survive only a few hours or a couple of agonizing days after birth. I don't think a bureaucrat or a judge is better equipped than the baby's own mother to decide what to do in those circumstances. But more recently, I've learned that my assumptions were wrong. Sometimes women abort healthy, viable, late-term fetuses. These cases of purely elective late-term abortions are very upsetting. Once the baby is viable outside the womb, it should have rights and it deserves society's protection. I learned about these because I was willing to listen to my family, to my advisors, to supporters and others who shared their own perspectives and information. My promise to myself and to America is that I'm going to continue to listen and I incorporate what I learn into my policies and decisions. So I support the emerging consensus that abortion should be unrestricted up until a certain point. I believe that point should be when the baby is viable outside the womb. Therefore, I would allow appropriate restrictions on abortion in the final months of pregnancy, just as Roe v. Wade did. That's the principle that will guide my actions as president, whether implemented by Congress or the states or in court. It's the right policy for our country. And it is coincidentally the will of the people. But there's more to it than that. We should be looking at why there are so many abortions in the first place. The biggest reason, as it turns out, according to the studies, is affordability. Almost 3/4 of women cite economic reasons to explain why they choose to abort a pregnancy. So we've developed a policy that we call more choices, more life. We can reduce abortion across the board dramatically by supporting motherhood, by supporting parents, and supporting families. Soon we'll unveil our plan for universally affordable child care, which will cap child care expenses at 10% for most families. And we will support women in need so that abortion isn't their only choice. As I said, abortion has been an incredibly divisive issue, but I don't think it has to be. I believe that we can reduce abortions in America by choice and not by force. And that's something most of us can agree on. So let's stop fighting about it and actually get this done. And let's step outside of the culture war trap and take on the big issues like the forever wars, the chronic disease epidemic, inflation, government corruption, and dishonesty that are destroying our country.